Well, the news at Newcastle United has been pretty dry over the international break, but we've had some good news this morning regarding a couple of things and some not so good news regarding a couple of things as well, which is typical for Newcastle United. It's never just good news, is it? But we do have news on Bruno's new contract. We've also got news that Tonali will probably miss the game against Brentford at the weekend. Eliott Anderson has decided, or could be deciding, to switch his allegiance back to England. Also, Sven Botman not seen in training, and Yasser Al-Rumayyan has responded to these ridiculous claims that Eddie Howe's job is at stake. Let's take a look at the Daily News. Hi everybody, I'm Paul. Welcome back to the Daily News here on the Toon Review YouTube channel. Before we get started, if you do enjoy today's show, guys, do give it the thumbs up. As I keep saying, very important that we keep those likes coming in on the algorithm for YouTube. And of course, if you're new and you like what you see, please do hit the subscribe button. Completely free to do so. And also hit that notification bell, which will let you know when we go live or we upload any videos in the future. Right, let's dive straight into it. So as you can see there on the bottom headline, Bruno contract is pretty much done. This is a report that has come out this morning, and these are the words of George Culkin. Basically saying that the deal is very close to being announced by the club themselves. Of course, we haven't heard anything on the Bruno contract for quite some time now. It's caused a lot of worry with the fans. Has it caused issues for Bruno on the pitch as well? Is that part of the reason why he hasn't quite hit full flow yet this season? We've seen some decent performances for Bruno, but I don't think we've seen the very best of him yet this season. And it could be because this has been hanging over his head. We know what it's like, certainly for players when they've got contract issues on the mind. Are they getting the right money? Do they want more than the club are offering, etc.? Now, according to the report, that George has said that money was a talking point. Bruno wanted to be higher paid, which is perfectly normal when you're getting a contract extension and you're as good as Bruno is, in my opinion. And also a couple of other minor little things. We've got to stop saying all this rubbish about Tonali's come in and he's the main man now and Bruno's took the huff. It's a load of crap. It really is. And we've got to stop putting rumours out there, to be honest, because, as we've seen in recent times, the players do read this bull rot sometimes that is written on social media, and it causes all sorts of problems. But for me, Bruno's new contract will be a fantastic a signing, I guess, knowing that Bruno is going to spend several more years at Newcastle United, develop his game, become one of the top players in the Premier League. He's up there already, and we can expect a lot more from Bruno on the pitch. So I think it's wonderful news. It didn't exactly say when the club were going to announce it. All he said was that they're very close to announcing the contract extension. So let me know, are you happy? Are you going to be very happy if the club announced Bruno's new contract? And do you think that's been affecting him with his performances? Or do you think that's just that he's just getting going this season and it'll take time? Because certainly his Brazil performances over the international break were absolutely superb. And he's been getting rave reviews. So hopefully we see that very, very soon in the Premier League. Now then, ahead of the game against Brentford, of course, on Saturday evening, which you can catch live commentary right here with Billy and Alex live on the Toon Review. That will start at around 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon with kick-off 5:30. It looks like Sean Longstaff is going to be given the go-ahead to play in the absence of the injured Tonali. Now, it seems like a pretty straightforward substitution that he has to make. Tonali, we know, was injured on international duty. Hopefully, pray to God he's going to be fit for the game at the San Siro, because it would be devastating for him to miss that, to return home to see his former fans, and hopefully he would get a fantastic reception there. But it does look like Longstaff is going to start on Saturday. Now, it's very difficult for Eddie going into this game because he's got a game in Milan on Tuesday, so it's very important that he picks the right side for the Premier League. Some people say that he's going to put more importance on the Champions League, but as Billy said last night, I reckon he's going to go for the Premier League. He's going to put his eggs into the Premier League more than worry about the Champions League. Now, that's not to say that Eddie will go into the Champions League games and just put weak sides out. That's not what we mean at all. What we mean is Saturday's game is very, very important because of the start we've had to the Premier League season. Losing 3 on the bounce, of course, winning our first game, but 3 on the bounce It's never happened under Eddie, and I don't think we're going to... I don't think he's going to let anything like that happen again. I think he's going to be fully focused on the Brentford game, fully focused on going out there and getting the 3 points and starting this season off again. We've had a reset over the international break, and Sean Longstaff, look, did brilliantly last season. There's no doubt about it, alongside Bruno and Joe Linton. So I've got no problems at all with Longstaff coming in. I think we need to worry about defensive problems more so than the midfield, because Sean, listen, he came on at Brighton and he did very well. He's had a bit of a slow start to the season as well, but I thought he was good when he came on against Brighton. Of course, played that wonderful ball over the top for Wilson's goal. So it doesn't necessarily worry me that Sean is going to start. And hopefully Eddie will get the very, very best out of him. But let me know, are you worried about that? Are you worried about the midfield for Saturday's game? Or are you happy for Sean to come in and prove to everybody that he's still got it? And speaking of the Brentford game at the weekend, of course, another injury concern for Newcastle United, of course, happened before the international break, and that was to Sven Botman. And it looks like he will not be available for the Brentford game and is a major doubt for the Milan game as well. He has not been seen in training. Now, granted, the reports that we've seen this morning are just saying that he hasn't been photographed by the club in training. But normally you would see Sven Botman there. I think if you look back over any of the training photos before games that the club have released, Sven Botman has been pretty much on every single one of them. So now that he's not there, it does make you think. And Eddie has a big decision to make on Saturday if Botman is missing. Does he move Dan Burn back to left back? Does he bring Lascelles in? Does he stay with Dan Burn centre back and bring Lewis Hall in? I hope it's the former. I think Dan Burn would do a better job in centre-back. I think he'll be okay there. And Lewis Hall at left-back, for me, he's got to come in. We've got to see Lewis Hall now. It's as simple as that. But we're not the manager, are we? And so many times we look at the team lineup an hour before the game and we say, I'm not sure about this one. However, then, all of a sudden, the team go and perform. Now, we haven't seen that this season apart from the Villa game, but I'm pretty confident for Saturday, I have to say. I think it's a big reset going into the international break. I think Eddie will have looked at it and, without a doubt, decided, right, this is what I need to do. I need to do X, Y, Z. He'll have had conversations with certain players. And the guys that are coming back from international duty this week, he will also have spoken to them, or hopefully going to speak to them. And everything will be worked out. And I'm expecting Newcastle to really go for the throat of Brentford on Saturday, just to put a marker down and say, look, we've lost 3 games, but it's very, very early on in the season, and we are right in this fight, and we are going to continue to fight to get as high up the table as we can. I think that's the mindset that Eddie Howe will put into the players, and I think that's probably what the players will already have a mindset of, because they know as well. We've seen it. They've come out and said that it wasn't good enough, etc., and they will themselves want to put things right. But missing Sven Botman is massive. I think he really calms the defence down, doesn't he? We've seen against Brighton, even Nick Pope and Cher, they looked lost without having Botman there, because he's that sort of calming influence for such a young age. He is really that calming influence that we all want to see on the pitch. The Rolls Royce, if you like, of Newcastle United. So it looks like he's going to be missing. But what would you do? What would you do if you were Eddie Howe? Would you start Lewis Hall and keep Dan Burn centre-back? Or would you move Dan Burn again and move Lascelles in to centre-back? Let me know in the comments below. Now, we all thought it was very strange when Eliott Anderson was picked for the Scotland squad. Of course, during this international break, Steve Clarke, the manager of Scotland, spoke very, very, very highly about Eliott Anderson, mainly from what he did in pre-season. We haven't really seen him in a competitive game, apart from half an hour here, the odd 20 minutes there. Elliott's time is coming, guys, and we know it is. He's a wonderful, wonderful talent for Newcastle United. And it was very strange for me when he pulled out of the Scotland squad, because there's been nothing about an injury to Eliott Anderson, certainly since he's come back to Newcastle United. And I fully expect him to be involved against Brentford on Saturday. But what gets me is the comments that England manager Gareth Southgate made before, of course, the game against Scotland on Tuesday. And talking about Eliott Anderson, saying that they've been monitoring him. He's had a fantastic start to the season with Newcastle, if you can count pre-season as that as well. But he has. He's looked very, very, very good. We raved about him in pre-season. Certainly watching the the games in America and the preseason games before that. He looks ready to go, and he just hasn't had that opportunity to do much on the pitch at the minute. But I think that will come in the next few games. Certainly, this period of games we've got where we go into league games, Champions League, Carabao Cup, league games again. There's going to be an awful lot of squad rotation for me, and players are going to have to come in and step up to the plate. It's a big opportunity for Eliott Anderson, because this is the opportunity that he's been waiting for, to come in and do a job in the midfield and just prove to Eddie that he is ready to go. But I really do think that the comments of Gareth Southgate and what he said about Eliott Anderson in such a positive way has kind of persuaded him that maybe his allegiance is going to go with England, because certainly that's what the report is saying that I've read this morning. And I have no doubt that it's got a lot to do with what Southgate had to say as well, that they are monitoring him. Because, look, he's a Geordie. His grandparents, I think, are Scottish, which is where he gets the links to play for Scotland. But he's a Geordie, and I think deep down he would want to play for England if that opportunity could arise. Now, I'm not sure whether Gareth Southgate himself has spoken to Eliott Anderson about this. I have no idea. But I think it would have been a good thing had Gareth done that and spoke to him and said, look, we are monitoring you. You are in our plans to be in a squad very soon. Keep working hard at Newcastle United and keep pushing to get in the first team. For me, that would have been brilliant of an England manager to do that and actually, persuade some of these youngsters that they do have an opportunity with England, despite what we're all saying about Southgate picking his favourites, etc. Try and convince these players that they do have an opportunity. The likes of Eliott Anderson, Harvey Barnes, of course, was linked to moving to his allegiance to Scotland. So, there might be an opportunity for Eliott there. But I think he's been swayed by what Gareth had to say. And I hope so, because I'd love to see Eliott Anderson in an England shirt one day. And finally, our chairman, Yasser Al-Rumayyan, has had to come out and defend Eddie Howe. Now, this is because, obviously, during the international break, a lot of people were talking about, the start that Newcastle United have made, and is Eddie Howe's job at risk at Newcastle United, which has always been a load of tosh for me. I don't believe for 1 minute that the owners gave him a vote of confidence or anything like that. It is far too early to be talking bollocks like that, in my opinion. Okay, I really genuinely think that, the owners, certainly, you've seen from the documentary what Amanda and Mairdad, etc., what they actually think of Eddie Howe. They are not going to turn the back on a man who has done so well for us up to now. He came in extremely difficult circumstances, moved us to 11th, got us safe in the Premier League, and then gets us Champions League football. But as soon as we have a little blip of form, the punters are on there talking about who should replace him and things like that. And I'm really pleased that the chairman has come out and said what he has, because I think it's very important that, the media themselves, as well as Newcastle United fans, understand that Eddie is very, very much part of the furniture at Newcastle United, and just because we've had a blip means nothing. What he said was Eddie is very much the man to take the club forward, and Yasser himself is very excited as to where he's taking the club. So, I think all of this needs to end about Eddie. I mean, yes, we all know that if Eddie continues to lose games, questions will then be asked. But the fact that we're so early on in the season and we've only lost 3 games, let's be honest, we could go and win the next 6. And things would look very, very different in the league table if we did that. So let's just like we said at the start of the international break, take a bit of a reset. We all were very upset about the Brighton game. We all, probably went a little bit over the top with our reactions and stuff, but that's passion for the football club. That's normal. That's normal as a fan to worry about your football club losing 3 games on the belt when you played so well in recent times. So for me, I'm really pleased that Yasser has come out and said that, and I'm pleased that, that they're really giving Eddie Howe all the backing in the world still. And, that was proved in the documentary, like I say, exactly what they think of him. And I think Eddie is definitely the right man to take this club forward. And hopefully, in the future, we're going to see Eddie is, right up there with the Keegans and the Robsons of this world at this football club. And I think he will. I think he's done a remarkable job already. And for the idiots to say, we need to sack him, Go and support somebody else, quite frankly. It's ridiculous. But there you go, guys. That is the daily news for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Like I said at the start, if you have enjoyed today's show, please do give it the thumbs up. We still need likes to come in on every single video, guys, because it does help on the algorithm on YouTube so that fans like yourself can find the channel and hopefully subscribe in the future. If you are new and you like what you've seen, please do hit the subscribe button. It's completely free to do so. And also hit that notification bell, which will let you know when we release videos like this or we schedule in any live shows. If you're watching this on the Thursday, the live show is tonight at 7 p.m, where we have the Newcastle v Brentford preview with me, Billy, and Alex. So get in the chat. Spend a bit of time with us, talk about the game, let us know how you think it's going to go in the chat. Alex will have his graphics and everything like that to look at the Brentford side and the possible Newcastle side, if we can possibly pick one, given the changes that possibly will be made. But time will tell on that one. So live tonight, 7 p.m. if you're watching this on Thursday. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a wonderful time, and we'll see you on the live tonight at 7. In the meantime, take care.